Not all prayers go to heaven. Some are answered by something else. Deep in the woods, beyond the reach of roads, there stood a circle of stones. The locals never spoke of it, and the maps pretended it didn't exist. But Jonah found it. Jonah had always been drawn to forgotten places. As a researcher of lost folklore, he travelled wherever whispers of old rituals led him. When he discovered an entry about the Candlelit Offering in a crumbling journal, he knew he had to see it for himself. The instructions were simple. At midnight, place a candle in the centre of the stones. Light it, make your request, but never, ever look at what stands behind you. He thought it was just an old superstition, until the candlelight bent in an unseen wind. Jonah lit the candle, his breath misting in the cold night air. The forest around him fell silent, no insects, no rustling leaves, just the steady flicker of the flame. He whispered his request. "Show me the truth." A second flame appeared beside his. His pulse pounded. There had been no sound, no movement, just a candle that hadn't been there before, burning on its own. Then came the breathing, right behind him. Every instinct screamed at him to turn around, but he remembered the warning. The breathing grew louder, slow, measured. Something shifted in the darkness, casting a twisted shadow that stretched toward him. Then, a voice, low and crawling like fingers scraping over stone. "Ask another." Jonah's throat dried. He couldn't move, couldn't speak. The candlelight flickered wildly as if something unseen was circling him. His own shadow distorted, growing longer, reaching toward the stone circle. One more. His lips trembled as he forced out a whisper. "What are you?" The night swallowed the flame. The air thickened. The trees groaned as if something ancient stirred among them. The breathing continued, but now it wasn't just behind him. It was all around. Jonah's mind screamed, urging him to run, but his legs wouldn't obey. The candle in front of him flickered back to life, but its flame was wrong. Too tall, too dark, casting shadows that twisted in ways that didn't make sense. The voice returned, whispering against his ear. "You already know." Jonah clenched his jaw, refusing to turn. But he could feel it now, an unnatural weight pressing against his back, something just inches away. Then he heard his own voice, from behind him. "Look." A cold dread unlike anything he had ever known seeped into his bones. He squeezed his eyes shut. He wouldn't look. He couldn't. The candlelight dimmed. The breathing slowed. Then, silence. Jonah opened his eyes. The stone circle was empty. The second candle was gone. The forest returned to normal. Rustling leaves, distant owls, the hum of life resuming as if nothing had happened. Shaking, he grabbed his things and ran. Days later, a search party found the stone circle. They found Jonah's backpack, his journal, his footprints, but no sign of him. Just a single candle still burning in the empty clearing. Some rituals are better left forgotten. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe and turn on notifications. But if you ever light a candle in the dark, don't turn around.